On today's episode, I'm talking to Marcus Henderson and Lennon Lange, two of the people in charge of Sound System, the new 5-fret rhythm game. They certainly got me hyped for the future of 5-fret gaming and shared some cool stories from the glory days of Guitar Hero. If you enjoy this and want to see more, give me a like, a subscribe, leave a comment, you know all the stuff. Anyway, let's get into it. Hello there, gang!
Hey,
Hello.
hey.
First things first, if you could just introduce yourselves to the audience and say a little tiny bit about why we're here.
Marcus?
I I I am honored to take it. Zach, I am super grateful for this. Thank you first and foremost for having us, man. I am the co-founder along with Lennon of Echo Foundry. I am also the creative director and one of the game designers on Sound System, a game that is about 20 years in the making. Lennon and I have a very special plan to bring all the 5-fret enthusiasts back together in one localized central location for more rock, more fun, and all the good stuff. And it is truly a pleasure to be working in this space once again.
Yeah, and to give a little bit of background, we come from the old days. We both worked on Guitar Hero. So, fun fact: my actual guitar was what was used to base the original controller off of. So we're that old school.
Yeah, double fun fact. The Explorer was based off of the Red Explorer that I bought from Gibson specifically for Guitar Hero 2. So Lennon and I's DNA go all the way back to the early days of Guitar Hero, where all of the love and appreciation for all that went into the game was felt worldwide. And we are now lucky enough to be joined on this team by veterans from Rocksmith and Rock Band. So we've got the Thanos Gauntlet glove filled up with gems, with just superstars that love and care about this genre so much.
Very exciting. Um, Sound System, the idea is for it to be the one rhythm game to rule them all, right? So to that end, can you talk? I mean, let's go deep right away. Tell me about
Yep.
the engine and the idea of, if not pulling players away from the games that they're already playing, being able to stand alongside them.
Yeah, for sure. Well, engine wise, we're using Unity. Unity's been a great partner with us. They're fully on board too. They love their our account manager is also of old fan of all the 5-fret games. And so he loved what we were doing. So yeah, it's been great working with them. And then as far as really not taking away, because really what we want is another option. We want there to be just multiple games. New instruments are coming out right now, new controllers, and we want to be part of that offering. And I think what we have is an awesome offering. Really, we the not only do we have a base game that has just songs for you to just jump in, what we're doing with Pulse Map, which we can go into later if you want, is really the bread and butter, allowing people to just be creative because we're in an age where everybody is just very creative, whether they're influencers or YouTubers or Twitch streamers. Everybody's creating stuff, so we wanted to give people the tools to create, not just play.
And I would add, Lennon, that it's important to remember sort of the core benefits of why these games were so popular. And I think it's less about how we're trying to peel people off of what they're doing and more about reinventing the notion that rhythm games can be a huge driver to bring people back together.
Mm.
Like you've got a lot of separate experiences. Life is kind of an individual sport these days, but what people really embrace about the games that we worked on 20 years ago, and we heard this, we still hear stories about this, was that my family really came together over these games and really bonded over music, and it changed our lives and it made life better for us. And that is something we deeply want to distill and reintroduce into the world. Not only because we love music and we love rhythm games, but I think it's time that people found some common ground in gaming again, got together and just rocked out as a group, as a band, as a family, as a community.
Will we be able to use all of our existing customs for people who are into the Clone Hero and Yarg scene?
Heck yes. So we will be supporting legacy controllers as well as the new generation of amazing hardware that's being worked on and releasing this year and next year. We're also making Pulse Map sort of open to dot chart format so people can adjust, share, and import. It's really to create the simplest, easiest, funnest on ramp to getting either back into rhythm gaming or to feed that creative fire, like Lennon mentioned earlier, by allowing people to take any piece of audio that they own. Put it into Pulse Map and create some special note chart of it. So it could be a screaming goat, it could be the sound of a dump truck falling off of a mountain and you're finding somebody playing that, or it could be AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, or whatever you've got. We really want to fuel the creative fire that was extinguished when these games stopped kind of coming out. And that's part of the reason we want it back. We want to see what people can do with our tech.
I'm thinking like the idea is something like someone can get started on a song and make a chart that might be a little rough around the edges, and
Mhm.
then kind of hand it over up to like one of those people who really knows how to lock in. So it's kind of like almost like open source charting among the community. Is that kind of what you're aiming for?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we wanted to make it. The reason we went with dot chart files is because they're really easy to share. Little small bite-sized files. So we're making PulseMap as easy to use as possible, and we're doing everything we can just so that people can share. That's the goal, and then edit as well, because you can take an existing song in the game and edit that chart to make it easier, make it harder, add extra notes if you want, just whatever you want, and share amongst your friends with that. So you can have, say you go to a song, you can have like 5 different charts available for that one song. So gives it a lot of customization. One of the other things we're doing is we actually are working with Chris Vance, who is known for making the chart Through the Fire and the Flames on GH3. He's overseeing a lot of the Pulse Map, going through and working in it, trying to make sure that it feels good from a note charter's perspective. So that's really getting his hands dirty on that has been really useful, just for making sure that it's great for the players as well as great for professional note charters, because there's a lot of note charters out there. We've been working with a bunch of them.
Yeah, there's an art to that, right? It's a significant art form, and we want to give people the most fluid toolkit that they can to be fully creative, to share these things with everybody, and to open it up to the community. We're calling Pulse Map Mario Maker meets Guitar Hero. Everybody wants to build and create, and we wanted to create a platform for them to show off what they can do.
Exciting. So, kind of fast forward, once you're actually playing the game, let's just stick with guitar for now.
Yep.
Is there a particular Guitar Hero or Rock Band game that the engine, in terms of like note windows or hit windows and strike line and all that, is based on? Is that itself customizable? Tell me like what the feel of actually playing what you want to what you're going for with that.
Go for it,
Yeah.
Len.
Yeah. So kind of what we're doing is we're kind of taking what has worked with all of the games between Rock Band, the early Guitar Heroes, the later Guitar Heroes, and really just finding something that feels right. On classic mode, we actually are really widening the hit times. And that's really to make it sure that it's fun for the casual. It's just fun for the non-hardcore, because the hardcore players still continued playing with games like Yarg and Clone Hero, but we want to make sure that for those people coming back or returning or sharing with their kids now, that they get in and it's a no fail mode. It's very loose timing, really easy just to like get in and experience what is great about it. But then we also have Pro Mode, which is much tighter windows, and it's using a DDR style scoring. So you have several windows of like good, great, and excellent that you're actually scored on. You get medals for those. So you can actually like go for, I want to get full gold on a song, and we'll probably have achievements for that, getting like full perfect timing, as well as we're doing a hardcore mode where it's one miss and you're done. So we're taking it even a step further. So we're really trying to cater both towards the hardcore as well as the casual, with different modes, with different variations of timing.
Okay. Speaking of timing, this is a little inside baseball. Maybe this is too granular, but back in like Rock Band 2, Guitar Hero 3 even, calibrating felt so easy for me. I don't know. I just felt like they nailed it out of the gate. But with Fortnite Festival and even Clone Hero and Yarg, I always have to do it like 3 or 4 times before I find like the right window that works for me. Like the last Clone Hero update actually added it'll show how ahead and how behind you are with each note that you play. So that's actually helped a lot. But like, has calibration gotten more difficult, or are there patents in the way? What's going on there? Because I know a lot of the community are just like, I can't calibrate.
Right. Yeah, it is. It's kind of a science into itself. So we have a built-in offset tool into the game right now that we're working. I mean, it's modern technology and the things that make latency accumulative has changed over the last 20 years. From Guitar Hero 1, it was the CRT screens. From then Guitar Hero 2 comes out, and all of a sudden HD TVs, right? And so we had to build an offset in there. So the tool set that we're deploying inside a sound system is more or less to keep up with the requirements of what's continuing to stack on latency in your audio video stack in your array. Everything picks up latency. I mean, Bluetooth controllers now, and sound, processors, and any of the ray tracing that you may have on your TV. There's a tons of different things that you have to kind of circumnavigate here, but a little bit of our secret sauce is that we're accounting for everything. And since we're launching on Steam initially, we know that there's going to be multiple monitor arrays, so we have to account for different hertz sets. We have to account for refresh rates. So it's a good question, but something we can't divulge entirely yet, because we're making the accessibility spectrum a little bit bigger, considering we're working with all new tools and advanced technology for monitor systems and everything. So it's a really good way of saying I can't tell you exactly how we're doing it, but I can tell you that we are absolutely taking it into consideration. And like everything in sound system, we want it to be plug and play. We want you to get into the game as quickly as possible. If there's an issue with your setup, we want you to be able to go into options and settings, have it logically displayed for you, make an adjustment, and get back in the game as quickly as possible.
Fair enough. I'll take it.
Thank you.
So another hook you have is just everything is customizable. You've got you want the game to be what the player wants it to be, their version of the perfect rhythm game. Can you tell me a little bit about like the hard rules that you have, as well as kind of different aspects that players can tinker with to their liking?
Yeah, so we're planning on trying to let the user customize everything. Going as far as even like the little widgets that are on the UI itself. We want to like give different options for the widgets so that if you want a steampunk style score meter, you can do that. If you want to change it into like a cartoon, you can do that, and you can mix and match. We're going to be selling different packs of different themes that go with backgrounds as well as the widgets, and then you can mix and match all of those. Additionally, we're allowing full motion video. So
Yep.
we've showed a couple trailers that show some cats playing, which was like a fun test one because I love cats, as you saw jumping around.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but the main thing is we wanted to allow the player to put up their own video. So whether that's home movies, I mean, whatever you can kind of think, you can put them on locally because we definitely don't want to have copyrighted material going out into the public. But really, anything that they want to put up, they can put up. So it's whatever the music they want, whatever audio files, whatever full motion video. And then we're talking about how much further we can go with it. We want to provide fretboards, different highways, and everything. So being able to customize all that, we have already, I think, 12 different fretboards in the game, so you can switch it on them. Tailor them to kind of like what your experience is, because we're not doing the traditional you're on stage and here's your characters and everything. We're kind of giving it open where we're going to have some of that, but we also want it to be like just a static background. If you want to concentrate on gameplay and you want just a static black background, just so you're really like honed in on the note chart, we want to give that option as well. The key is to give the consumers as many tools as possible so that it is the game that they want it to be.
That's right. Yeah, and I'll add to that just that it's sort of what separates us from the previous generation is opening up that palette for players to tailor their game space to how they feel. So before we would always have a stylized background with animated characters, and I love it. It's awesome. I think nowadays people really want to express themselves visually, so we've made this game deliberately friendly for streaming. And part of that is the ability to mix and match themes based on how people feel or how they want to present their game space to their viewers. So initially, you're going to have complete themes for sale in our store. So you can buy a theme, like Lennon said, a steampunk theme with a steampunk widget with gears and things moving around. This is just an example. But then eventually what you'll be able to do is, upload your own, specialized content so that you can truly express yourself through it. But the idea is we want people to be able to take elements from different themes to custom make their own game space by mixing and matching elements. So you would take a note fretboard from one theme, a widget, a scoring widget from another, a heat map from another, even stylized notes from different themes as well, just to create something that is wholly unique, that's never been done before. And I think that's the kind of level of expression that players want these days. They want total control over their game space, and we want to give it to them. We want to make things as streamer friendly as possible, and that's part of the reason we're so into having all kinds of different themes and arts and highways and note types and everything. We believe in this. We believe in the power of expression, and it's important to give people that option.
Cool. Um, Speaking of those options, kind of, you teased a little bit the idea of selling stuff afterwards. Tell us a little bit about. I know it's a dirty word, but the live service of it all, the living game of it all, the post launch DLC plans. From what I understand, um, originally drums were going to be post launch, but now they're being moved up, or is that not the case?
No, we are happy to announce here with you, Zach. For anybody else, ding, 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 ding. Big worldwide announcement that we are going to fully support drums at launch for
Yeah.
Sound System.
They're currently working
They're
in
currently
game.
working.
We heard from the community. Everybody was just like, "Oh, you have to have drums," and we planned originally to have drums, but it was like, "Oh, we'll do that post launch. We'll release the base game of guitar because that's where it's all started." But everybody was like, "Drums, drums, drums," and so we went to our lead developer and was like, "Can we do it?" And he's like, "Yes, yes, we
Heck
can."
yeah, we can.
And then we just we got it working in about 2 weeks. Got it up and running. So that's really exciting. I loved playing the drums on all the classic ones. And then as far as like the store and selling stuff, I mean, what we're planning on doing is like Marcus said, themes. We definitely want to do themes. So we have our what we're going to call premium themes, where people will end up being able to upload their own stuff, but we want to provide some ones that we tailor make for the game that are an option for people. They don't have to play them or purchase them, but they're there for people, as well as song DLC. But the key that we're trying to do is we want to make it very affordable. At the end of the day, we're just fans of the game itself. I mean, I worked on the original Guitar Hero, but I was also a fan, and I want to make sure that sound system is affordable to people, that they're not spending $5, $6, $8 on a song. That it's just, I mean, we're shooting for a buck. Depending on what licensing costs, we're doing our best to make sure that it is literally just a buck per DLC, so that it's a no-brainer at that point that a new song comes out, I'm going to pick it up. But we want to make sure that everything is as accessible to the players as possible.
Yeah, and that'll go for the visual content as well.
Yeah.
So just to kind of expand a little bit, there's always going to be indie music in our game because we believe in just feeding the ecosystem with incredible bands that are maybe overlooked in certain situations because traditionally these games have had a serious gatekeeper, and that is the corporate interest ensuring that the back of the box has names that are recognizable enough for people to be like, I gotta have this game, I gotta play this song, I gotta hear and play this song that I've known for 20, 30 years. But there is a bit of, cultural fatigue on some material that sets in after a while, and we wanted to sort of mix it up. We wanted to make it accessible for indie bands to be discovered through our platform, but we also wanted to give something for people to chew on, which is recognizable and familiar to them. So essentially, there's two pillars of content musically in our game. One is the core music, and that is the indie bands that we're getting. These are major indie bands. But they're typically maybe bands that if a company were today to put out a $70 version of a game like this, would they necessarily populate it with bands like this? Probably not. They would go for the most expensive names on earth just to try to move the product by appealing to somebody on the back of the box. But in our experience, having shipped collectively almost 30 games like this in our lifetime, we know that the value of content in a game like ours really comes from the quality of the chart, the sort of visceral feeling that the tempo or the note density that's featured inside the song does for you. It's there's a lot of factors that go in play as opposed to just like, here's this famous band, here's this famous song, you've played it, you've heard it a million times, now go do it. I mean, there's a point of diminishing returns on stuff like that. And when we say we want it to be a next gen game that brings a lot of value at our price point, $25, it's because we want to do something good for gaming. We want to see the genre rebooted and repopulated, and we want to give bands a chance to be discovered. And I mean, it's like the old adage: how come this band hasn't been made it big yet? Because they aren't played on the radio. Well, how come haven't heard them on the radio? It's because they're not played on the radio. So we want people to be able to have a chance to be discovered, even if they're not on the radio. And the other pillar that we're offering are the world-class covers. So we are going back to what worked for Guitar Hero 1 and 2, which is the the highest quality cover songs that you can imagine. So this allows us to dip into the bands that we know and love that work in this context always. But we're not necessarily wedded to having to pitch our tent to this specific style of music. We don't need to go all in on classic rock. We don't need to go all in on metal. Because we're so free to do this, we can surprise everybody and give them stuff that we know plays well, sounds great, but may not be something that they've heard 500,000 times on the radio before, which makes the entire experience fresh and new for people. And that's really what we want to do.
That's all sounds great. I don't think there's a 5 fret player alive who hasn't learned new music,
Hmm.
discovered new bands, whether they're huge or indie from different time periods, present day, through these games. Um, you mentioned the top tier covers. So I've got to ask because I started with Rock Band 1 in 2007. So Guitar
Mm.
Hero 1 and 2 were mythical for me at that time. But since I got into Yarg and Clone Hero, I've been able to play those old charts. And when I played Ziggy Stardust and there's that solo at the end, I was like, what? That is hilarious and awesome.
Well, Zach, let me just give you a 5 second backstory. I worked for a company called Wave Group, and I recorded roughly 80% of Guitar Hero on my own, along with singing a few of the songs. And then I did about 33 or 34% of Guitar Hero 2. And at that time, I'd also moved on to working with Lennon on Guitar Hero 2's music selection committee. So we know from experience that a beautifully executed cover is almost one to one with the master track. But at that point, the quality of the note chart itself and the experience of the team behind the execution of the building of the game, the formulation of the timing and the charting of the song itself is what separates the two. And like Lennon mentioned earlier, when we have somebody like Chris Vance and we got Jason Gamash Kokol on the team, just these absolutely just genius like level leviathans of rhythm gaming, that people that understand music inside and out. That's the X factor. The X factor is not the song itself, it's how the chart is executed. So if you have a beautiful sounding cover and the chart is just super compelling and it ramps up perfectly, there's no drop off. And nobody on earth complained that Guitar Hero 1 could have been better with master tracks. It was a love letter to music and to game design, and we know what works. After 20 years, I think we've kind of figured it out a little bit, and we know that if we do this right and we put all our love and heart and soul to everything we do, every single note, every note placement, that's what matters in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, not to talk out of class, but I don't think anyone prefers the Smash Hits version of Barracuda over the Guitar Hero 3 version.
Yep.
There's some far out changes in that. But I'm like, oh, that was a choice. Still, obviously, very much playable. No shade
Oh
on
yeah,
Smash
yeah.
Hits, especially as a drums main. Getting to play all those songs on drums back then was a delight. I didn't even play 5 fret guitar yet. I was like on medium
Oh wow.
Well, that's part
back
of
then.
that's part of like our identity. It's new songs for a new generation, new blood, new game modes. So it's a familiar mechanic, yes. And Lennon and I clearly come from the Guitar Hero camp, which is, when you play sound system, what you can expect is a lot of the juice that you in you digested when you played these games, and that is the bells and whistles, and we have our own version of star power called stage presence, and there's so many things occurring on stage that make you that hit all those touch points, man. Because that's where Lennon and I come from. We come from the arcade Guitar Hero experience, and I think that that's the most exciting part of it. So, left to our own devices, and when you start a company, you sort of have creative control over everything. Lennon and I wanted to open it up and just make it as razzle dazzle as possible, and really distill all that juice and goodness that Guitar Hero brought. And I mean, that's where we come from. That's in our DNA. So that's a lot of what you can expect going forward.
Well said. With these covers, can you say who's recording them? And if not, or if so, can you say if you want to be like the early rock band style of like as one to one as possible, or do you want to have these creative liberties like with, say, the Ziggy Stardust cover?
I'll take the first half of that and say that these are some of the best sounding covers. As a former cover artist myself, I it was a hard choice. Like we looked everywhere, and there's some great cover houses out there, but the one that we found, and I we've got to keep it kind of under wraps for now, just because I want to make sure that they get their due when it's time. But these covers sounded like alternate versions of the originals, and in some cases slightly better because it just sounded fresher. And I love cover tunes. So when we made the choice to go with this company, we knew that we were onto something. And I mean, we knew fundamentally that they were going to make a difference to people, but it was the same song, freshly recorded with a new voice that sounds exactly like old one. So whilst it's not a carbon copy, because that's genetics, right? Nobody's going to sing exactly the same, but they were done with the same care and alacrity that Wave Group brought, and that to me was
Yeah,
really important.
yeah, and to add on to that, the company we are working with has a catalog, just a huge catalog of songs, over 80,000 songs to pick from. But the cool thing is that they let us know um, whatever people ask for, as well as new songs coming in. We have a deal with them to talk to them and say, like, we want to get this song. Can you record this one? And so we do have open reign to tweak songs, to add solos, to really customize it. So hopefully it's going to be a long term partnership with this company, and we could be working on both their back catalog as well as new songs as they come out and get released. Because yeah, it's just they're really great. I can't wait till people hear the covers because I was thoroughly impressed. I mean, sometimes I just spend a day searching through their catalog and just listening to different ones because it's like Marcus said, it's like a whole new take on classic songs that feel new again, which is really what we're going for.
Yeah, and Lennon and I are deeply in the listen to your user base camp.
Yep.
So a lot of the people that are going to be playing our game are also going to be shaping the content of this game. It's not like we're aloof and yeah, we'll look into it or whatever. To us, the people that play the game and own the game are the people that drive the content
Yep.
for what we choose going forward, and we are absolutely embedding user opinion into what we select going forward. So we all do this together. Sound
Yeah.
System is built by the community for the community, led by people who love and understand this genre deeply.
Yeah, we actually have a Discord with a channel that's just song requests, and I have an ongoing spreadsheet that I just keep adding to with everybody's requests, just because we do want to like give the people what they want. I did all the song selection for Guitar Hero 1 and 2 in '80s, but I only know what I like, and apparently everybody else liked it, but. But I'm now much older, and I want to listen to the new generation and see what they're doing. What new band that's coming up that it's like you have to like get this in the game because we want to. I mean, we want to just do as much content as possible, and that's another thing. Going to what we want Sound System to be is a one and done game. We're not looking to make a sequel. We're looking to make a platform. We want it to be a full music rhythm game platform that we just support for 10, 20 years, however long people want to get new songs for the game. We want to do that.
And I imagine there's so many tools in game and for like, PC players who can go behind the scenes and all that in a way that console players can't. Um, that will be supportable. That you're not just
Yep.
blowing smoke. I believe it.
No, and I think we haven't even really touched on the online component that we have planned, which is, you have your individual competitive modes, and then you've got the no fail band modes for, just casual players to hop in, see their band buddies online and go, oh, let me jump in and play a quick set with you guys and get out. I mean, there's something for everybody in sound system. And after, like I said, 20 years or so of learning how these games operate, learning what people wanted from these games to begin with, and learning what our capabilities are now, technically, we haven't even scratched the surface of what we can do with this. I mean, we're talking esports integration, we're talking massive leaderboards and daily challenges. We want to keep it fresh. We want to keep it exciting and, yeah, inviting for people of all skill sets in all game modes.
Maybe it's too soon to peel back the curtain, but when you say daily challenges, that makes me think of profile, progression, career, story, campaign. Is there something there for players to chew on?
Yeah, I'll jump in on this one. That's one thing we definitely want. We have it all documented out. We have it all designed out. Whether that's at the initial launch or we build upon it, that's to be seen. But we do want a full leveling system that we've plotted out so that you actually will be able to, when you play online, you'll be able to see like, oh, this guy is a level 57 on guitar. Like I'm going to challenge him, or and we want it to be instrument based so that you can level up your drums, you can level up your vocals, you can level up your guitar, you level up your bass, and then go online and compete against people with that different skill levels, as well as just having your own player profile that you can lock to defaults so that if you don't want to have, because one of the main things that we saw with building Guitar Hero is the amount of button presses to get into a game is very important because people want to just get into the game. So you're going to be able to save to your profile, I always play guitar, or I always play this difficulty, and have those set up to your profile. So not just a level up system, but a default system so that you can just get in and have presets and get right into the game, which I think is going to be really nice for people just to jump in and just get to playing. And then as far as a campaign goes, we have it all plotted out. It's
Can't wait.
I won't we won't go into details, but it's going to be awesome. We're
Super
looking at the
cool.
history of rock and really just notable places. More to come, but
Yep.
Marcus, I don't know if you want to say any more on that, but
No, I want to save a lot because in rock
yeah,
and roll it's always like, always leave them wanting a little bit more, right? But Zach, I will tell you, since we're in the mood to sort of leak information through you and Newsweek right now and share stuff before anywhere else, I can tell you that matchmaking is a big part of this. So
yes,
Sound System will feature archetypes, so you can select your playstyle archetype, which will help you filter out other players that are in your caliber and your play style. So if you're a more casual player, you'll have an archetype for that, which will sort of filter out all the players. So you don't surreptitiously end up in a lobby against somebody who's like a level 107 is just grinding through this and you're getting destroyed instantly. We want to make it fun and competitive, but also personalized so that you can find your people, jump in, like Lennon said, with only a few clicks and play. Just get in the game and play and start getting that dopamine flowing as quickly as possible.
Cool. I think I'm like a high casual or maybe a very low pro. I think that's kind of
nice.
where I'm at.
There's an archetype for you, Zach.
Yeah, eventually I'll beat Raining Blood in Guitar Hero 3. That's where I'm stuck right now.
uh,
But
you,
okay,
you and me,
so
bro.
so the game's coming to. Do you have specific consoles or just PC and console? Is that yeah?
yeah, we're definitely we're coming first on Steam, so that's this fall. We're shooting for October 16th for our early access release. And then the plan is 2027 to hit all the majors. Nothing's locked down, but we're targeting Switch 2, um, Xbox X/S, and PS5. So all the ones that you'd want to see it on, we're planning on.
Maybe it's too soon to ask, but this level of customization that's in the PC version, do you think that that can translate to console?
Within reason, I think that console offers a lot of advantages technically, but there's also sort of deeper rule sets. So if we have to tighten down anything, it would be some of the user generated content that is just monitored a little bit closely, just to make sure that anything doesn't get, somebody doesn't leak a Britney Spears song. I don't know why Britney Spears, but Britney Spears, man. But so, yeah, just to keep the platform safe. We want it rated E for everyone eventually. We want it to be accessible. We know that rock and roll isn't always the safest medium on earth, so we want to make sure that if there's content in there that parents don't agree with, that it's flagged accordingly. But yeah, I think that just it presents some other challenges, but it also gives us advantages in other areas as well.
But our goal is to get it as close to one with PC as possible.
100%.
The main thing that's going to take is we're going to have to talk with the first parties and figure out what is possible, because there is their own limitations between uploading software files and sharing files.
Right.
So I mean, it goes back to when I was working on Guitar Hero for the Wii, the Guitar Hero 3, and I actually had to work with Nintendo to reinvent how they did DLC because Nintendo never planned on micro DLC of like songs downloading and deleting and uploading, and it was a wear and tear on their system that all their specs were preventing it. So we actually had to work with Nintendo to figure out how to change their entire rule set to allow for it. So I'm happy to have those conversations again with the first parties and go, this is what we want to do. People want this. Like, how can we make it happen? So we can't say for sure if it is going to be one, but I'm going to work my butt off to make sure that we can get as close as possible.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Um, in the few minutes that we have left, let's kind of go back in time to the glory days, the heyday of Guitar Hero and Rock Band, the five fret revolution of 2007 to 2010 or so.
Yep.
Um, are there any like charts or song choices that you had to really go to bat for, fight for, be like, no, this is going to be perfect, and someone's like, nah, I don't know, and you just had to power through?
Let me just give you my quick anecdote about this, and then I'll toss it over to Lennon, because Lennon and I worked on. I was part of the committee. Lennon led the committee for the song selection committee on
Oh, so
Guitar Hero
you
2.
you were the guy saying no, 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 not this one.
No, I was always an advocate for the outside stuff. That's the thing, is I'm like a metalhead at heart, so I'm always trying to put. In fact, there was a quote I did for, I think it was Game Informer or somebody. I did a quote a long time ago that metal is going to get its due in Guitar Hero 2. And I feel like we succeeded in that respect. I mean, Shadows Fall was in the game, Buckethead was in the game, Avenged Sevenfold. I did a lot of those covers for the metal stuff. But what I got, I remember one song that I introduced that Lennon was on board for, but a couple other people on the committee were like, I don't know, this is really nerdy. I suggested YYZ by Rush. And I said, you guys, this is going to be one of the funnest songs in the game. You got to trust me on this one right here. Grab a controller. And so what we would do in these song selection committees, we would listen to music, we would grab a controller, and we would approximate what an expert chart would be. And so you started kind of playing along with it, right? And then locking into that, like that YYZ, that it's why the ban and it's actually Morse code. And it's genius because it's the Morse code for the Toronto airport or something. And I go, you guys just play that. Imagine going da 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 da, and that just translated so beautiful to a controller. So whilst Rush was kind of pushed back as like, this is super nerdy, like progressive rock, when people realized how it translated to the controller and how it would actually play in the game, it changed opinions. And then we started kind of seeing music as not necessarily through the bias or the lens of what you like necessarily, but what's best
Hmm.
for the game and what's going to translate to a compelling note chart. And that's when things really started to unlock.
Yep. Yeah, I'll jump in on that one. I would say going off of that, Guitar Hero 2 was really when I felt that the game took off.
Yeah.
It was known already. It was popular. People loved playing it. They got it. So what Guitar Hero 2 we did with the song selection is we kind of went away from the obvious choices, like Marcus was saying, like when, like for an example, Nirvana. There's classic songs off of the Nevermind album that you would have expected us to go for.
Right.
Smells Like Teen Spirit, ones that are like great back of the box. But sitting with the controller and listening to all the different songs, we got the Heart Shaped Box, and it was like, this has some good like gameplay to it, and that's why we ended up going with some of the non-traditional choices that you wouldn't expect, like the B-sides, which I think really was what was fun is taking like a known band and going, what if we chose this song because it'll actually be better for gameplay? And I
Right.
think that's the coolest part with selecting music is sitting with a controller and figuring out how it's actually going to play, because at the end of the day, songs are levels.
Yep.
And really, when it comes down to it, like there's songs you want to listen to and songs you want to play. And we got to go for the ones that you want to play, because at the end of the day, it's going to be a much better experience.
Yeah. Sometimes the obvious choice isn't necessarily the funnest choice, right? And that goes back to the original point about like moving people to the back of the box because they see something familiar, but you know there's something better out there, that maybe there's a better chart, maybe there's something more riffier, maybe the note clusters are a little more compelling, because there's more intervallic work, which allows you to move notes around. So instead of just having something go dun 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 dun, you can be dun 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 dun. There's a way to make something less obvious, and to a point, whoever did the cover of Heart Shaped Box was absolutely on top of it that day and did a fantastic job. And if I could go back in time and high it was me, I did it, I'm just kidding. Yeah, and that's it. But Lennon and I learned from Guitar Hero 1, which was like, let's bring in the hooks. Guitar Hero 1 was the hooks, right? The a lot of the tunes that, I love rock and roll, right? Guitar Hero 2 let us spread our wings a little bit more and go outside of the box and introduce the more playable, more compelling songs into the game, which increase the game score overall. I think Guitar Hero 2 is probably my favorite out of the entire Guitar Hero series, to be completely honest with you.
Oh, after that, there was, the big upheaval, the switch, you know, Harmonix doing Rock Band, Activision keeping guitar. Can you walk us through a little bit of that uncertainty, or what happened in that time period, if you
Yeah.
can?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I can. Uh, yeah, I mean, it was definitely it was a strange time. That the thing is that we both wanted to go in the same direction. We both wanted to do the band next. That was the plan. We went two separate ways. I mean, the nice thing is that we were all always fans of each other. I mean, we brought on some harmonics people that worked on Rock Band on our team. So we were always still friends. We always appreciated what everybody did on the games and loved seeing each one grow. I mean, I was a fan of Rock Band just as I was a fan of Guitar Hero. We may have had some sibling rivalry just because like that's what you do. But at the end of the day, it was all love. And that's kind of what I see nowadays. We have other five fret games coming out, and really, it's just about let's keep growing this genre. It's a genre that we love so much, and just like back in the day with Guitar Hero and Rock Band, um, it breathes life into music, and that's really what it's about. It's about growing this genre that we just love so much and just seeing it thrive. So where Activision did their own thing and Rock Band did their own thing, I think they both did justice for the genre. It Neversoft did a great job coming on, and I mean GH3 to some people was like a big turning point, and I loved working on that. So um, yeah, no ill will or anything from that. Yeah, it's just it was it was a fun time. I'll say.
Yeah, and
Sure.
I'll wrap up that point with it was an incredible time for Lennon and I, professionally, watching something that we genuinely loved and put our heart and soul into becoming an overwhelming success.
Yeah,
Is it eventually something like that becomes a straitjacket? And to be able to start again and reboot this in a
yeah,
way that preserves the earliest feeling of appreciation for music and for rhythm gaming, it gives us a chance to reset this again and take everything that we've learned from what worked for people and what worked for us, in a fresh way for not only the players that got to experience it 20 years ago, but now the kids and family of the players that got to experience it 20 years ago. So we're not just catering to return players, we're really trying to open this up for a new generation. And that feeds into what Lennon said earlier about new bands, new blood, new songs, new sounds. We're considering this, a reboot in the most loving way possible.
yeah,
But this time around, we get to make sure that we can cater to our fan base all across the world in different styles, and ensure that it has, strengthened growth throughout the entire process. So we're not just chasing one thing or another.
yeah. I mean, I'm approaching sound system as we half jokingly call it like Guitar Hero 2.5 because
Yep.
really how we're approaching it is I think of it as when the separation between harmonics and red octane happened. What if I took over at that point and guided the train? And that's what we're doing is we're going back in the day and going, how would we have done things different? How would we take the franchise and shape it the way it is for fans? Really, at the end of the day, not for just money. I mean, sure, I'd like to make money, but um,
You're nice.
at the end of the day, like Guitar Hero was my baby, and I just want to do it justice by building sound system.
Yeah, if
I'm
Guitar Hero was new and coming out in 2026, this is what we would make.
excellent. It's a great closer. You know what you're doing.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking about what you're saying about bringing it back down, and how the opposite of that was World Tour, where I don't even want to know how much money Activision spent on music licensing for that one.
yeah,
But they kind of had no choice but to go as huge as possible for that particular
That's the
dazzling.
straitjacket, man. You're a victim of your own success at that point. And I wouldn't be here without Activision's, decisions. And Lennon and I learned so much from this. But we're grateful now that we've survived it, that we're here, and we're just beyond thrilled that we get a chance to do this again, with a new vision, a new team, and a renewed sense of energy. So I'm just over the moon and excited for what's about to get unleashed in October.
I can't wait to be there to experience it myself. Thank you so much for your time, for your careers. I mean, there's so many people out there who would be different people without your
yeah.
games.
A lot
And
less musicians.
exactly.
Yeah,
So thanks so much.
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Zach.
And scene.